Hey folks, Barnaby Dixon here. So I've had some great success on the Rebuilding Dab Chick project and will soon share the results of experimenting with colour. Ooh, that looks good. But that's not all I'm working on. Another upcoming project has necessitated the revisiting of the bug puppet and making him 3D printable too, so stay tuned for that. Today though, I'm going to be exploring a relatively new piece of equipment. 360-degree cameras have been around for a while, but there are a few that have recently entered the consumer market, and the possibilities seem pretty fun. When I've shot Dab Chick episodes in the past, I've been able to film him myself. This does take some practice, but the benefits of being able to hold and angle the camera with the free hand were pretty huge. However, with my two-handed puppets, I don't have a free hand, so I've always relied on fixed camera setups. We're gonna scare Matilda. Motion-controlled devices or friends to film and follow the action appropriately. There's an Instagram account I follow. This guy's name is Paul-Marie Barbier, and he does amazing musical pieces, often very stripped-down arrangements on a range of instruments. So the video starts and immediately pulls back into an almost impossible-seeming wide shot, to the point that you can see the inner workings of the piano surround Paul. Then it does a full 180 and we see the hammers and dampers moving to his playing. No cameraman is obviously small enough to fit in this space, and Paul's not moving it, he's playing the piano. So what's happening is that the camera has filmed all angles at once, so you can essentially perform camera moves after the footage has been shot, which feels like a bit of a game changer, especially for those of us that perform with our hands. So I ended up forking out about $400 for one of these things. So let me first thank my patrons over at Patreon for helping me with the financial part of my creative pursuits. So if you can afford to support me in this manner and would like to, here's a link and you have my sincere thanks. Once the camera had arrived, I was keen to see how it could improve the current setup. So first I had a friend follow the puppet as it walked around their countertop. Oh, could you get the light on him too? That's just to the right, yeah. Now when I shoot with Dab Chick, fast and spontaneous movements are easy enough to track. I know when he's going to jump, for example, because I control that. But if someone else is filming, that level of synchronization is not possible. And this is where the retroactive tracking comes in. If the puppet performs a high jump, I can use the software after the recording to tilt the angle of the shot so the puppet remains in the frame. Now for fixed camera stuff, when I shoot my musical pieces, I'll generally record the audio at the same time as the video. This does take a lot of rehearsing, but I'm really keen to avoid lip syncing and comping and things like that. I do use multiple cameras to capture certain details, but the liveness of it all can be undermined by cutting between those cameras. It makes it seem like separate takes that were spliced together. This is called comping, by the way, and I don't have a huge issue with it, but I'm keen to use these musical performances as a means of practicing, and I kind of undermine the practice session if I'm faking it to some degree. With a 360-degree camera, I can zoom into those details in a much more natural way, not breaking up the shot and keeping it clear that it's a single take. I'll demonstrate this in some upcoming musical pieces, so stay tuned. I was keen to combine the benefits of these approaches and create something that could fix to my body. I bought this hat with a plastic insert, making it much easier to fix things to. I've got one of these baseball caps that's kind of got, I think it's got ABS. Then I found these GoPro clips and put one on the peak. I also got this selfie stick and attached the other side of the clip to that and cut it down to size a little. That might be enough. I found that the longer the stick was, the more leverage it has. It's pretty basic physics, I suppose, but it was yanking the hat downwards. So the key was fixing another clip to the back and attaching more weight there, so the center of mass could be closer to the middle of my head. Okay, so I have the camera attached to this, and I have the counterbalance around the back, which is a clamp and a magic arm. And I can move this one further back if I was to decide to move this one forward, and it would be out of balance. So it's adjustable at the back and the front. The movement is quite nice. When I stop, you can see it takes a second because of all the weight involved, not just this, but back here now too. So I think it's going to have almost like a steady cam effect. Wonder how unnatural it looks. It looks fairly natural to me, although I'm getting a little bit motion sick, I think. Yeah, very much so, actually. It looks ridiculous, but it does the job. Here's a quick test I did walking around outside. Around this time, I randomly bumped into a friend of mine who was keen for me to show some puppets to her daughter, so I figured they could join me for some more camera tests.
What I'll do, Liv, if you stay like that, I'll have the puppet jump up onto your hand from the ground. Does that sound good?
It was a fairly overcast day and I haven't quite figured out at that point the exposure settings on the camera, so the footage is quite dark. Then it started to rain, and then finally at this point here I end up sitting in a whole bunch of stinger nettles, so we ended up just going and getting some ice cream. Now the rig is a little bit cumbersome and uncomfortable, even if I have balanced it fairly well, but I could see myself using it again for the right project. The camera itself though, I do think I'll use a lot in the musical projects that I have upcoming, so stay tuned for that and hit notifications if you'd like to see them. Thanks for watching.